Hello everyone, this is Suneve, and I'm coming to you with Sweet Insomnia, a Jeff the Killer X reader by darkqueenXxRei. We're going to be starting off with Nightmare 15, Regenerate. Good luck, William, Dr. Smiling said as he began to leave the room. You and Jeff watched him as he slowly climbed up the old wooden steps and went through the creaky door at the top, succumbed to the peace of his placebo home. The basement was filled with death and silence as the air in the room became thicker. Every corner and edge of the torture box could smell and taste like the Reaper. Your blood was boiling in a freezer. Your mind was jumping off a cliff. Your heart was pounding in constraints. And Jeff stared at you. I'm so confused, he said. I don't understand anything that's going on. You replied, I was in your exact place because of... You decided it would be best not to shame him on the topic. He looked down, afraid that the damage had already been done. Because of me, he mumbled. And it had. Involved in a silent conversation, he hugged you. He ran his hand through her hair, and he tried to comfort you as best as he could. We're going to get through this together, all right? He asked. Okay, he sighed, pulling away from the reluctant embrace. He felt so much pity for Jeff. You knew exactly what he was feeling and what thoughts were going on in his mind, though you deemed it perfect payback for his actions. You didn't believe that other people should suffer from their mistakes. His deepest intentions weren't to hurt you, and if that was the case, then his pure and natural mind would have already done so. You saw an idea shoved into the back of your mind. You avoided it because of every reason you could think of. It was not another roulette you wanted to get stuck in. It was part of your trip to hell. And you didn't want it to be the cause of your permanent reservation. I think I know what we need to do, he said. Jeff smiled and said, Throw it at me. You took a deep breath, and he said, We need to leave this house and wait for Smiley to shift to the defense. Jeff nodded and asked, And what else? If we can find that Blair girl, maybe we can... Blair? He questioned. Oh, you sighed. I forgot you didn't meet her. Is she another enemy? He asked as his eyes lit up. His pupils showed a fire. The orange flames contrasted with the blue crystal shine on his irises. That fire burned brighter and brighter until you were sure that his entire mind was filled with dark intent. He just didn't know it. She's the one that gave Smiley the opportunity to do this to you, you confessed. Well, Jeff said, I can't wait to meet her. We can try to get her on our side, you said. Maybe we can trick her or something. She is pretty young, after all. Jeff's eyes scanned the room as he was thinking about something. Without any options to choose upon, he had nodded slowly. That was when that hidden, vile, deceitful idea popped into your head. Maybe Jeff didn't really lose his memories. We need to figure out how we're going to do this, he said, trying to get the topic off your mind. We need to find out why Smiley is doing this. He wants us dead, yet he's helping us stay alive. Will he just let us leave? Probably not, Jeff muttered. He's only playing games with us. As long as we do what he says and things go his way, he's happy. But if we try to turn the table... He looked into your eyes and finished. He might end the game early. You nodded, accepting the fact, and you finally understood. Smiley wanted to play with you and Jeff. Call it childish, but he was bored. He needed amusement. But why was he helping you? He knew you like a book. You'd be surprised if he didn't ever learn psychology. He had information about the human brain nailed to his forehead. Nothing you could do or say could trick him. He simply knew everything about you and your actions. Jeff, I care about you, you lied. And I care about you too. I may not know much, but I promise I'll protect you, he replied. You smiled and stepped closer to him. What, he mumbled, eyeing away from you. You stopped him by leaning in and connecting your lips to his, and he seemed taken aback by your action, but he gave in. You felt his hand slowly raised to your back, and you pulled away and gave him another smile. We'll make it out alive, he said. We need to leave now, then, you declared in response. You quickly led him over to the stairs and ran up them. They made a creak at every step, and you were scared that they might break. Reaching the top, you swung open the door to the hallway, and it was dead. You heard a ringing in your ear from the lack of matter in the house. Even the lights were stunned. Where is he? Jeff whispered. I don't know, you whispered back. You started to creep forward and look around. The doors on either side of the corridor were shut and locked. Only one was open, and it was so dark in the room it boarded that you refused to even lay your eyes near it. You looked ahead and saw the living room coming into your range. It was dark as well, but a small red nightlight was connected to the wall in the corner. It didn't do too much good at improving eyesight. And when you turned that corner into the kitchen, you finally spotted Dr. Smiley sitting at the table in the dark with his back turned to you. Jeff pulled your arm back and whispered in your ear, "It's our perfect chance to escape." You nodded as you started to turn around and head towards the front door. "Wyan," the doctor called. You spun back around and quivered. Smiley slowly turned in the chair like a screw when his face was unhid and you took a step away from him. He sat casually and faced you with a glorious smile. "Before you leave," he smirked, "I want to play a game." You looked at Jeff and you could tell that he wanted to take off and never come back. You stepped towards the table and ignored your instincts. "You'll be joining us too, Jeff, right?" Smiley asked. Jeff glared at the man and reluctantly took a step towards you after a moment, and Smiley smiled. "Let's play some Russian roulette." Nightmare 16, Roulette. You eased your way over to the table and sat in a chair. You were 1/3 the length of the circumference of the wood away from Smiley's right, and Jeff was to your other side at the same distance. Your back faced the wall and allowed you no room to run away if necessary, and Dr. Smiley had you cornered. Why did you comply to such an evil sport? Because of fear? Or maybe you wanted to turn your third chance into a success story? "I'm so glad that you two are here," Smiley muttered. "It's not fun when I'm alone." You took Jeff's hand under the table and watched Smiley reach to the floor. Up came a large box, and when opened, an old-fashioned pistol was revealed. It was silver, the color of sin, and the small amount of light hit it in just the right spot to reflect itself and penetrate your eyes. Smiley opened the compartment and popped a bullet out. "I was going to go ahead and spin it, but I think Wyan should choose which slot it goes in," Smiley explained. He held out the gun and the bullet to you. You stared at the two elements and took a moment to just think. You absolutely could not believe that you were playing such a dangerous game. Sure, a fake little round of Russian roulette with a toy gun was amusing, but the real deal was anything but enjoyable. It was a game of fun in one head, and a game of death in the others. You snatched the revolver from the table and tore your hand from Jeff's to pick the bullet. You didn't understand why Smiley was having you make such a silly decision. Did he want you to be gifted with the guilt at the end result? As soon as you saw the cylinder, you realized that the choices laid out for you were much clearer than you expected. Before reading what was written, you checked to see if Jeff's vision extended to what yours could reach. Content that he could not see what shocked you, you gathered the endurance to read the word on the side of one of the bullet slots. J. There was only that letter written on the side of that hole, but it meant to you 1,000 more. Noticing your pause and movement, Jeff asked, "Are you okay, Wyan? I can do it if you want." You quickly moved your gaze off of the spinning wheel of death and looked into Jeff's corneas. You couldn't take away the light from those eyes. You couldn't even think about not being able to stare into them ever again. You might as well have considered it a sin to just let the thought run through your brain. This was your third chance. After that, you would have one more. And you did not intend on procrastinating. "No," you said. I'm okay." You looked back down at the cylinder and made a chart of your choices. If you put the bullet in the one labeled J, then that would be it. It would be over. On the other hand, if you put the bullet in a different slot, it would be a different sufferer that might drop to the floor before midnight. You closed your eyes, and without having a care in the world, you slid the bullet into the blindly marked slot, proving the insanity and distress of your state of mind. The guilt would haunt you forever, whether it be Jeff or Smiley that would take the fall. If you ended up being the one to go, you would thank whomever you meet for allowing your escape from purgatory to be so quick. You closed the capsule and handed it back to Smiley, and he spun the wheel. While in slow motion, the anticipation grabbed at your neck and your throat. You saw the cursed letter spin around 7 times before it clicked into place, and you still didn't know which space it really landed on. "Now, I know you may be thinking that your choice will affect the game," the doctor started. "But it won't." He glared at you with a jump rope smile. "This game is purely a game of luck," he said. Spiders on your back ate away your integrity, and you took the train on a guilt trip. You were the only one in the room that knew where you were headed, and Smiley was the conductor, and Jeff was the unconscious boy sleeping in the corner, oblivious and without a care in the world. And you had made the wrong choice. "Jeff," Smiley sighed, "why don't you choose who goes first?" Jeff stopped breathing for a moment and eyed you. He reached back for your hand and gripped it tighter than he ever had before, and they do say that the more feelings you encounter, the more lust you might feel towards attachment and attraction. Jeff said. I think you should go first. The doctor rose his cheeks and held the gun up to his head. Good luck, he said. You wanted him to die. He pierced his gaze into yours as he pulled the trigger. In a click. You then had less of a chance of living. Dr. Smiley cocked the hammer over. He set the gun down on the table and slid it over to Jeff. Your turn, he muttered. Jeff squeezed your hand more as he reached for the scythe with his other. His arm was shaking more than a bee at its highest season. As he raised the gun up to his ear, his energy rose even more. His hand was at a major deviation of what you guessed was well over a couple inches. It looked like the gun was going to fall from his grip at any moment. He stared at you and his eyes got watery and eventually filled with an ocean. His mind silently told you of his remorse and a weak nature, and he tried to hold back his cons, but you could see right through his attempts. You felt a bit of sadness touch your face as you saw how his eyes had given up. That was the one thing you did not want to see. You did not want him to give up. Nothing was worth giving up, and it took one of Smiley's stupid games for you to realize that. Jeff closed his eyes. I love you, he said. And you heard a bang. That is the end of that chapter. The chapter after that one is, as soon as it shall load, Nightmare 17 Recall. Let me know how you guys felt about that, and I will see you guys in the next video. And until next time, bye-bye.